Okay. So today, I'm going to be asking questions for an oral history interview. My name is Elijah Bernal. This interview is for my U.S. History 1302 course. And can you please state your name, the date, and the location we're doing the interview?
My name is Juan Gomez. October the 11th, 2018 is my daughter's house.
Okay, Mr. Gomez, thank you for being here, first of all. I also want to inform you that I'm going to ask you a series of questions. You do not have to answer any of the questions you're not comfortable with. There may be some questions that are not on my list that I'll be asking, and again, if you're not comfortable answering these questions, that's fine. Just let me know. We'll move forward. So the first thing I'd like to ask Mr. Gomez is, can you explain how exactly the Vietnam War began?
I have really no special idea as far as how it all happened. I was in school, and that's how it touched us, because we couldn't get good jobs or anything like that. All we knew was a conflict that was going on, as far as what you'd see in the news. But lots of times it's far away that you really don't think it's going to affect you at all. So you really don't pay that much attention to it at all. Until you graduate, then you can't find a job, or nobody wants to hire you because they don't want to invest time on you for the reason, because the draft was on, and then they want to put money into you as far as training you, and then you get drafted, you leave, so they lose out. Nobody wanted to hire you.
And how was it that you ended up in the Vietnam War?
I volunteered for the draft, so all they did was move my number. I went in like that.
What do you mean by move your number?
When you're on the draft list, you're gonna go sooner or later. It's a good chance you're going. It's just that instead of going like in December, you're gonna go like in February or March, because it moves your number ahead. You take somebody else's spot.
Wow. So you were.
And when you volunteer for the draft, it's 2 years. Some of the guys that would volunteer, it's either 3 or 4 years.
Okay. So you volunteered for the draft?
Right.
Okay. Okay. So you served a total of how long?
Like a little over a year and a half or so.
Okay. And that was a standard term at the time.
Well, what would happen is if you're somewhere overseas and you got less than 2 or 3 months to serve, they'll automatically let you get out early. You get an early out.
Okay.
Now, if you're over here and you got it, you got to finish the whole term out, 2 years.
So 2 years.
And that's the reason I was saying that I extended, and I stayed in Vietnam for like 13 and a half months.
How did your family and friends feel about you going to Vietnam?
I didn't tell anybody, but I had some friends that would write to me, and as far as myself, when I would write home, I could never tell them what I was doing. So it was just a real short 1 or 2 sentences in the letter saying, "I'm all right, hope you all are fine," and that was it. I wouldn't I wouldn't elaborate or say much of anything. We couldn't do that.
Did you have an immediate family, or did you have a wife and children at the time, or was
No.
it just?
No. I was single.
You were single, so it was just your parents that they would write.
I grew up with my grandparents.
Okay. And why was it? You stated that you couldn't share. Why was it that you couldn't share information?
War is ugly, however you look at it. Some of the crazy stuff that we did, it was ugly. Yeah. Beautiful land, beautiful terrain, beautiful area, but war is ugly. You see people that are all torn up, that you see them talking, doing all kinds of things, then after a while it's just a body there. It looks weird, lifeless, just there. It doesn't look like nothing unless you really check it out. You can see the face, you can see their hands, you can see all that. But other than that, it's just there, you know.
And whenever you were preparing to go over to Vietnam, what kind of training did the military give you? What kind of preparation did they give you for Vietnam?
Usually it's a lot of physical PT. You learn a lot of the way the Army does things, how it's said, who you salute, who not to salute. And as far as your specialty, once you get in there, at the beginning it's all basic. Everybody goes through the same thing. And then they call it AIT, Advanced Training. But for us, I went into infantry, so that kind of labeled it that we were going to Vietnam because that's what they needed more up there at the time. And that in itself, you get more into the weapons, first aid, escape and evasion, what to eat, what not to eat, little stuff like that, you know. Now, if you grow up in the country, you do a lot of that stuff like that. You hunt, fish, and stuff like that. But when some of the people that are from the city folks, it's completely new to them, you know.
Do you feel like that gave you an advantage growing up in a rural area over?
Yeah, I think so. Well, what I've noticed is the military's got a lot of that hurry up and wait type of a deal. When they get ready to go, they want to go. They don't want to wait. So you got to be there early, and sometimes you're there and you're waiting and waiting. It seems like forever. So after a while, you learn to sleep just about anywhere, sitting down, laying down, or whatever. You just make it. You try to find something to be occupied till you're not all tensed up. Yeah. Animals, ants, bugs. Anything, little thing you hear, you look at it, and it just, the trees, everything tells you something. Like in the woods, when you're out there, when you first get out there, you hear noises, you hear the birds, you hear the animals and stuff like that. When they all shut down, that means somebody else is coming in. That's why when you're there for a good while, you smell like it, and the animals walk, like I said, come up to you and stuff like that, as long as you don't do nothing, and everything's fine. But when you hear it, and they're doing their thing, you hear the birds and stuff, and then all of a sudden everything shuts down, that means something or someone is coming
your way.
Yeah.
So whenever you got to Vietnam, did you feel with the training and your experience, like as you said, growing up in a rural area, did you feel prepared, or did you have to learn a lot?
I felt somewhat prepared, but you never know until you get in a firefight, or you shoot someone, and you see it all before your eyes, or somebody gets hurt right next to you. Then it all depends how you're gonna act, and then, I mean, the adrenaline gets way up there when everything starts going on like that. Sometimes it'll take you 2-3 days before you can actually really sleep, you know, because you're all hyped up and it could have been me.
Yeah.
Start thinking all kinds of stuff like that.
Yes. Can you explain, and I know you've already done a little bit of it, but can you explain the conditions in Vietnam as far as the environments y'all are placed in? I know you shared about animals and trees and stuff, but can you explain, was it hot, was it rainy, was it unbearable? can you give me some details on the conditions of just Vietnam?
As far as you have to learn what to wear, what not to wear, and stuff like that. They give you basic uniform like underwear, t-shirts, shirt, and boots and stuff like that. But when you're out there, it gets too hot, too muggy, and you're not gonna really be bathing yourself or anything like that. You can't do that. As far as the job I was doing, and see, it gets to the point that you learn not to wear underwear. You learn to wear t-shirt. So it kind of what you're wearing up here is kind of loose. So when you sweat, it gets wet, but it's cotton to where it breathes with you. It helps you. When you got everything else like that, it kind of keeps all the heat in you. And then after that, as far as sleeping, I slept in water, just my nose sticking out of the water, and I never thought I'd do that. But when you've been doing all kinds of weird things, you learn to do that, and kind of just another day, and like I said, and then I got to see some really beautiful land that, well, if you look at it, them old Tarzan movies, the stream and stuff with bamboo, I got to see stuff like that. Wow, those guys, the Vietnamese, they build up a lot of little stuff with bamboos and stuff like that. Like here, you go to a Luby's and you see that aluminum thing where they got you slice your tray and you get your food and stuff like that. They would have stuff like that, but it was made out of bamboo and all kinds of stuff.
Was there a lot of Vietnamese? Did the Vietnamese people work with you all at the time? The South Vietnamese people.
We had a few that would work with us.
What was the extent?
They were like what would they call that? It was a liaison to where that guy would help us get into certain things, and they work with us.
Okay. Would they translate or?
Some translated, but we also had Americans that would speak Vietnamese.
Okay. So, can you tell me, did you ever get the sense that the South Vietnamese people were unappreciative of what the American soldiers were doing there?
As far as out in the field and the people I work with, no. They seemed like they wanted us there. They needed our help and everything like that. Now, if you was to go into the, like Saigon, into the little slums and stuff like that, to me it seemed like you were just a meal ticket for them. They just wanted something from you, or they steal from you or whatever, But that was there. Now the ones that were actually out in the field, they were different too. Their attitude was different.
Did any of the South Vietnamese people ever turn against the American soldiers?
I never saw that. It seemed like they were all well, and they treated us right. They would feed you. They would talk to you. They would try to communicate with you. The ones we worked with.
None of the South Vietnamese people ever came off as being uncivilized as far as just the way that they would live, or I know you mentioned.
Well, you had to watch because it was their culture as far as how they did things compared to us, Like when you go to the bathroom, you clean yourself with your right hand or your left hand. That has a lot of things to do with them too. They only use one hand for that because the majority of the time they use one hand to eat. So the other one,
They clean themselves.
See, and if you don't think of it or don't look at it, it looks like they're unsanitary, but actually there's a principle behind it. one hand you used to clean with, the other hand you used to eat with. See, you know.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
See, and
That's
they do a lot of little things that they do. They carry a lot of stuff. Yeah.
That's interesting. Something else that I was interested in is did soldiers, American soldiers, ever form relationships with Vietnamese people? You know, did marriages occur from with American men and South Vietnamese women?
Yes, I knew two of my friends that did that. As far as I know, they were still married.
And they never got any kind of criticism or anything from.
Not from us, because nobody said anything. Really, everything was. It's all part of it. You know.
So you said you were in for, what was the duration again?
Roughly a little less than 2 years. I think it was like a little over a year and a half or so.
Okay. So how was it that you finally were able to get out of the war?
When my tour of duty in Vietnam was over, when I extended, because see, I was told that if you spend X amount of time there and you have less than 6 months wherever your next place you're going to go to, if you got less than that, there's a good chance they'll let you out early from the army itself. And I was there, I extended, and then they cut their tour down to, I think it was 8 months or so. At least that's what I was told. And after I extended, I spent a little over 13 and a half months in Vietnam. And then the part of the training that I did was roughly 2-3 months. They put me way close to it. I think I got out 2 months early, or 2-3 months early.
Were you ready to get out? Were you eager to come home?
I was offered some good bucks. I nearly stayed. And then I got talked to, I was going to go work in South America, and then my ex-wife talked me out of going.
So whenever you finally got back home, did you get any kind of criticism, or were you scrutinized at all by any of the American citizens back home?
No, I never listened to anybody. I just did my thing, and I was always by myself. So who was going to tell me what or what? You know, I never listened to anybody. I just did it myself. You know, I could see it, because some of the guys that would hang where there was a lot of different people, that's when you start getting it, you know.
What kind of, if you can recall, what kind of criticism did friends of yours receive?
Some of my friends, they told me that they would yell at them baby killers and spit at them and stuff like that, throw stuff at them. That was them. I never seen it or anything like that. I just kept to myself. I didn't listen to anybody. I didn't say whatever you want. It's not for me, you know, because if you really look at it, you know, if they get your attention and get into your head, for whatever they're trying to do, they already have 60-70% ahead of you, because they're already in your head. They're already getting you upset. So if you can get that out, then nothing will bother you.
Yeah. That had to be tough, you know, for friends and for many soldiers. How do you think today, or why do you think today, most American soldiers are seen as heroes, where at the time the soldiers who fought in Vietnam were not?
But we were. Everybody was. The thing is, it was not spoken of unless there were more soldiers there. You know, other than that, the people that doesn't know, the people that just talk, hey, there are people that would just talk to, I guess, to hear themselves say it, because lots of times I've heard them, they'll say one thing and then they'll say it again. Now this time they'll say it, we heard, and then they'll say it again one more time, everybody's saying. They are the ones that are saying it, but every time they say it, they make it seem like somebody else said it.
Looking back on what you were part of and what you did, the people that you worked with, that you fought with, is there any special moments or special people that you'd like to discuss during this interview?
Well, we had a fairly good amount of good people that we work with, and we lost a few, and there's a lot of good people, like I said. Like, for instance, one of my good friends was George Beach. There's a street they named after him here in San Antonio, right there where the hospital it is, right off of 35. If you go by there and you see the street, it says George Beach. That's him.
Wow.
Now he was there roughly, like, when I was there, I think he already been there 4 or 5 years. He was there for a good while in Vietnam.
And
He married somebody from up there too.
Wow. And you and him fought together at some point, or worked
He was
together?
a sergeant ahead of us. I went out several times with him.
Okay. Well, I definitely would have to disagree with, you know, the perspective that many Americans at the time had of the Vietnamese soldiers. The American soldiers who fought in Vietnam, let me rephrase. I definitely, you know, would consider you all heroes, like you said. You really were. Yeah, you were fighting for a war that, unfortunately, some American politicians had their own agenda and sent you all out, you know, to fight a war for another country that was our allies, but it's unfortunate that the outcome of America ultimately losing the war is very unfortunate. But I know that you all fought strongly, bravely. I mean, something I could never do. So I want to thank you for what you did, for your service. I also want to thank you for letting us interview you today. And if there's anything that we could ever do to repay you back as a country, I'd be honored to be a part of that. So thank you. Thank you, Colonel.
You're welcome.